Hello my scholars, welcome to my school channel. My name is Alexandra. Right here we'll be tackling 2019 JAMB past question for the subject Literature in English. Don't go anywhere, stay with us and we'll be right back. Welcome back to my school channel. Right here we'll be tackling question 1 to 20 now. Let's begin with question 1. When a writer deviates from the chronological arrangement of events in a literary piece, he uses dash. Option A, anadiplosis. Option B, anachrony. Option C, Christomati. Option D, anagnorisis. Now the answer to this question is anachrony. Now anachrony is the device a writer uses to describe the device of deviating from the chronological order of events in a story. Now a story has an arrangement, an order in which it should follow. That is event 1, event 2, event 3, event 4. A writer can decide to start from the 5th event and going backwards, or using other techniques like flashback to talk about incidents 1 or 2 or 3. So, but when you talk about anadiplosis is a figure of speech in which a group of words or phrase at the end of a sentence is repeated at the beginning of a new sentence. For example, he opened the door to his car. You can see that the words at the end of the first sentence is used at the beginning of the second sentence. So that's anadiplosis. When you talk about Christomati is a collection of literary passages from a foreign language, the purpose of which is to learn the foreign language. Now, when we talk about anagnorisis is that moment in a play when a writer discovers a critical issue, a critical or a personality, or it's just a discovery of a personality. It could be a personality of that character himself or something else, but it's a moment in a play where you make a critical discovery. So option B is the correct answer to this question. Question 2. The literary term for conflict in literature is dash. Option A, agon. Option B, hubris. Option C, amatia. Option D, anaphora. Now the answer to this question is option A, agon. Now agon is the Greek word or term for a conflict, so therefore it is the answer to this question. However, hubris means excessive pride or a dangerous overconfidence. Okay, it's a quality, or it is used to describe a person with excessive pride. So amatia is the tragic flaw of a protagonist. So it usually leads to the protagonist's downfall. When we talk about anaphora is that repetition of words in successive sentences. You have let's say you have about 5 sentences and the words beginning these sentences are the same. Okay, that is anaphora. Option A is the answer to this question. Question 3. Dash is used to describe the situation where a character recognizes his mistake. Option A, tragic flaw. Option B, hubris. Option C, denouement. Option D, agnorisis. Now the answer to this question is option D, agnorisis. Now, why is this so? Because this is a critical discovery. It could be a realization of a character's self. It could be about another character. It could be a discovery of one's true identity. It could be any discovery. It's just a critical discovery, an important discovery. So it could be about a mistake, about his strength and all of that. So we see that option D is the best option to this question. However, let's take a look at tragic flaw. Tragic flaw is a trait in a character that would possibly lead to his downfall. A trait, it could be any trait, but any kind of trait rather, but it's a trait in a character that leads to his downfall. But hubris is the trait of excessive pride. So hubris is specific. Then when we look at denouement is the final part of a book or a literary work. Okay, it's the part that comes after the climax, which is the intense point. in a book or in a story or in a film or in any literary work. So option D is the correct answer to this question. Question 4. Nightfall, nightfall, you are my mortal enemy. The dominant figure of speech above is a or and dash. Option A, ode. Option B, apostrophe. Option C, allusion. Option D, metaphor. The answer to this question is apostrophe. Now, in literature, apostrophe is a figure of speech that is used to address someone or something as if they were present or living. So usually the addressee, that means the person or the thing that you're addressing is usually an inanimate object or an abstract quality. Okay, so from the sentence here above, you can see nightfall, nightfall. Nightfall is not a person, so what we said is usually an abstract quality or idea or an inanimate object. So this is an inanimate object, so it is addressed as being one's mortal enemy. So this is an apostrophe. But then ode it's appraisal. It is used to praise or glorify an object, an event, or a person. Allusion is an indirect reference to something. Metaphor is a direct comparison. So you are comparing two ideas that are not the same. Okay, that's metaphor. But the answer to this question is apostrophe, because nightfall is being addressed. Yeah, as if it's present and it's living. So option B is the correct answer to this question. Question 5. Dash is used to describe the god of inspiration in literature. Option A, muse. Option B, premier. Option C, mood. Option D, deus ex machina. Now the answer to this question is muse. Muse is the source of inspiration for writing. It is what drives a writer to represent his thoughts, his innermost thoughts or realities in written form. Okay, so muse is the answer. However, premier is the first performance of a musical work or a drama presentation. Okay, the first performance. Option C, mood, is the state of one's mind. This is usually peculiar or attributed to the readers. Okay. Option D, deus ex machina, is a poetic device in literature whereby a problem in a story is a difficult problem in a story is suddenly resolved. Okay, that is option D. But for this question, option A is the correct answer. Do not forget to take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past questions. All you need to do is click on the link in the description below. It takes you to my school website. There you can download my school mobile app for your Android phones or my school software for your computers and laptops. Go ahead and download and start practicing these questions. Now, continue with question 6. Dash is used to describe the predetermination of a future event in a literary piece. Option A, analepsis. Option B, prolepsis. Option C, interlude. Option D, fatalism. The answer to this question is prolepsis. Now, prolepsis is when you talk about a future occurrence, a future action, as though it's been accomplished or it's existing. Okay, for example, you talk about the assassination of a living character. This character is particularly living or is alive, but you talk about him as though he's already dead. So option B therefore is the correct answer to this question. But then let's take a look at analepsis. Analepsis is when you narrate a past event or past occurrence at a later point in the story. So you might want to ask yourself this question: is it flashback? Well, it's a form of flashback. Okay, so analepsis is a form of flashback in which the past act is narrated at a later point in the story. So the answer to this question is option B. Interlude is the intervening period in a story or the interruptive period in a story. So fatalism is the subjugation or subjecting events to fate and destiny. Okay, so this is where fate and destiny take place or receive prominence in a story. So the answer to this question is option B, prolepsis. If you enjoyed this content, do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos. Question 7. The thing that runs through Aloe's dining table is that of dash. Option A, conflict. Option B, brutality. Option C, poverty. Option D, loneliness. The answer to this question is brutality. Now, this poem, Dining Table, is a 26-line poem, and it talks about the writer's experience of human sufferings during war. Now, the beginning of this poem goes thus: dinner tonight comes with gone wood. Now, from this first sentence, or from this first line, we can see that it paints the picture of brutality. So it goes on and on describing the brutality of his people. So in summary, the theme derived from this poem is that of war, destruction, and brutality. We see also child soldiering, in which children were turned to soldiers and turning their playgrounds to battlefields. Okay, so option B therefore is the correct answer to this question. Question 8. Which one of the following does not relate to the tone in Diop's Vanity? Option A, sarcasm. Option B, condemnation. Option C, rejuvenation. Option D, concern. The answer to this question is rejuvenation. Now, why is this so? First of all, rejuvenation means the process of getting new energy. Now, why is rejuvenation the answer to this question? First and foremost, Diop's Vanity is a poem that tries to promote the necessity of Africans to remember their roots, to remember African ways, to remember African cultures. Now, this poem talks about Africans' vanity, characterized by empty pride in European ways, wanting to do things in the European ways, or upholding the European culture, or placing it above ours. The fact that Birago Diop wanted to establish is that these European cultures, we do not all understand it very well, and at the same time, it is leading to our misfortune, okay, because we are forgetting our ways and holding on to other people's culture. So we see sarcasm, condemnation, and concern coming to play in Birago Diop's tone in the poem. We know that sarcasm is a mockery statement or a jeering statement whose purpose is to disgrace someone, or to make him feel inferior, or to make them feel worthless. So sarcasm, condemnation, and concern are the tone present in this poem, except for rejuvenation. Okay, so option C is the correct answer to this question. Question 9. Use the extract below to answer question. Line 1, my heart leap up when I behold. Line 2, a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began. So is it now. So is it when I have grown. The child is the father of the man. The mood of the writer is that of dash. Option A, elation. Option B, sarcasm. Option C, sorrow. Option D, anxiety. The answer to this question is option A, elation. Now, elation is a feeling of happiness or joy. Now, let's analyze this poem step by step, or line by line. We have my heart leaps up when I behold. Now, leaps up here tells us of your heart jumping up, or it generally talks about happiness or joy. Okay, you get from something. Now, a rainbow in the sky. Now, we can tell that his happiness is gotten from nature, and that nature is what? A rainbow in the sky. Then it continues, so was it when my life began. So we can see that there's a connection, there's a connection between his joy and nature, and there's also a connection between his joy and his past self, that is his childhood. So we can see the joy being present in his early life, or his childhood life. So is it now. We can see the continuity of this joy from childhood to adulthood. Then so is it when I have grown, continuity or to adulthood, and we can see that we can classify this as an unending joy. Okay, so the child is the father of the man. Now, this is a paradox that means our childhood shapes our adulthood. That is, the same quality you have as a child, you get the same thing when you become an adult. So we can see from this this extract that it is all about happiness, it is all about joy. Okay, so that is the answer to the question. But however, this extract is gotten from William Wordsworth, and we see that this is a 9-line poem. Okay, and then what JAMB did was he removed the original 6 line. They removed the original 6 line, line 6, which is "or let me die." Okay, They removed it and placed this. This is the 7th. Originally, this is the line 7, okay? So they removed it and placed this because they don't want you to think about William Wordsworth's poem, because William Wordsworth's poem has 2 tones, okay? We have that of elation and anxiety. But then JAMB wants to play on our minds because some of us are aware of the poem. So we have line 6 beginning with anxiety originally. But then JAMB has removed line 6 and put line 7 instead, so that you can concentrate on the joy aspect or happiness aspect or tone of the poem. So the answer to this question is no other than option A, elation. Question 10. Use the extra below to answer questions. So we have the extract. The question is, the rhyme scheme of the poem is dash, and we have options here of possible rhyme scheme. Now, first of all, what's rhyme scheme? Rhyme scheme is the pattern of sounds that repeats itself at the end of each line or stanza. So let's go to the board while we do the transcription and then present the rhyme scheme. Now, we have extracted the last word, okay, which is the most important in rhyming scheme or rhyme scheme. So we are looking at the pattern of sound at the end of each line. Okay, so this is the last word in line 1, and the last sound is the. Okay, so you have the sound, and you have the last sound here is I. Okay, and then the last sound here is and ow, and groan, and man. So this is A. So the first letter of the alphabet is A, and you start with the first letter of the alphabet. Okay, to start to tell the pattern of sound, or because it is the first letter of the alphabet, so the first line will take A. Okay, so the next one, if it is different from the first one, it takes B. Okay, letter B. Then the third one, it is different from the second, it takes C. Then is different from ow, so it takes D. But we have line 5 is the same with line 3, so it takes C. Then we have line 6, which is also the same thing with line 3 and 4, it takes C also. So we have the pattern of sound as A, B, C, D, C, C. So let's go back to the screen to see the option that has this pattern. Okay, so we can see that option C is the same as what we have done on the board. Okay, so we have A, B, C, D, C, C. Option C, therefore, is the correct rhyme scheme of this extract. Question 11. Use the extra below to answer questions. The question is, the object of the extract is dash. Option A, childishness. Option B, the unchanging circle of nature. Option C, the adverse effects of old age. Option D, human being. Now, the answer to this question is childishness. Now, we see that the poet observes a rainbow and is filled with joy, and this joy was what was there when he was young, and it is still there now, and he hopes or trusts that it will still be there in future. This tells us that the child has not lost his joyful delight in observing nature. Okay, we see childishness come into play in this extract. We know that childishness means to have a childlike behavior, and for a person or for this poet to want to have the same joy as having the same joy as he had when he was young, and he is now, and would be when he grows older, it tells us that this is a childlike behavior. We know that a child is always joyful and always happy. So option A is the final answer to this question. Question 12. Use the extra below to answer questions. The question is, the literary device used in line 1 is dash. Simile, alliteration, litotes, and personification. So let's look at line 1. My heart leaps up when I behold. So leaps up here means to jump up. So my heart jumping up is personified. So personification is giving the attributes of a human being to an inanimate object or to an object. Okay, so this question, the answer to this question is personification. Question 13. The literary device used in line 6 is an example of dash. Synecdoche, irony, paradox, the hyperbole. Now the answer to this question is paradox. Line 6 is the child is the father of the man. Now, paradox is a self-contradictory statement, but then when observed or looked into properly, it contains an element of truth, or it is true. Okay, so paradox is the correct answer to this question. Question 14. The atmosphere of a poem has to do with dash. A, time and place. B, rhythm and rhyme. C, tone and mood. D, versification and lineation. Now the answer to this question is option C, tone and mood. It is used to describe the atmosphere of a literary work that has to do with the feeling derived or the attitude put into a literary work. Okay, so option C is the correct answer to this question. Question 15. An overused expression is a slash and dash. A, cliche. B, cacophony. C, epigram. D, archetype. Now the answer to this question is cliche. Now cliche is an overused statement that has lost its original meaning and starts to irritate people. Okay, for example, a woman has lost her place in the kitchen. That's a cliche, is an overused statement. Okay, when we talk about cacophony, it means an harsh sound. Epigram is a clever remark. Archetype is an example of a person or thing. So the answer to this question is cliche. Do not forget that there are several solution providers readily waiting to answer all of your questions. Go ahead and ask your question by using the link in the description below. Click on it, it takes you to my school website. There you can ask all of your questions and solutions will be provided to you within a short period of time. Now let's continue with question 16. What basically distinguishes literature from other discipline is its dash. A, use of creative imagination. B, exposition of human experiences. C, communication of ideas. D, portrayal of places. Now the answer to this question is the use of creative imagination. Now all of these are characteristics of literature, but then the major and most important characteristics of literature or future of literature is the use of creative imagination. Now when you remove creative imagination from literature, it's as good as nothing. It is not literature. So other disciplines or field, you have formulas and which they follow like a guideline, but then literature is creativity. It's full creativity and imagination. Okay, so option A is the correct answer to this question. Do you have better solutions, explanation, or steps you would like to prefer? Feel free to use the comment section below, indicate the question and the solution you would like to share. Question 17. In drama, comic reliefs often occur in dash. Option A, comedies. Option B, tragedies. Option C, historical plays. Option D, romantic plays. The answer to this question is option B, tragedies. Now, what is comic relief? Comic relief is an inclusion of comic characters or comic scene to an otherwise serious work. Now, logically, there will be no reason to include comedy in comedies. Okay, there will be no need for comic relief in comedies because originally comedies are entertainment that are meant to invoke laughter or that consist of jokes. So you need to include comedy in tragedies because tragedies are plays that have an happy ending or have scenes or characters that are disturbing or sad. So therefore option B is the correct answer to this question. Question 18. A trouble shared is a trouble halved. Illustrates the use of dash. A, paradox. B, cliche. C, pun. D, metaphor. Now the answer to this question is paradox. What does paradox mean? It means it's a self-contradictory statement that when observed or investigated, it contains truth or it's proved to be true. Okay, so paradox is the answer to this question. Now when you look at the word a trouble shared is a trouble halved, it means that when you share your problems to someone, you get elevated. The problem becomes less severe or less serious. Okay, so that's the answer to the question. But then let's look at other options. Option B, cliché. Cliché is an overused statement that has lost its originality or its original meaning and can be considered as annoying or irritating or useless. Pun, however, is a play on word that has an element of joke in it, and which words also have multiple meaning. Okay, option D, metaphor is a comparison between two different ideas, so it's a direct comparison. This question seems contradictory, but then paradox is it has a proverb element. Okay, it is proverbial in nature. Okay, and the meaning of this statement is paradoxical, so option A is the correct answer to this question. Question 19. The art of using persuasive words in literary works is known as option A, rhetoric, option B, dilemma, option C, parody, option D, paronomasia. The answer to this question is rhetoric. Rhetoric is persuasive writing. But then when you talk about dilemma, we're talking about a problem, we're talking about parody, we are looking at imitation. Okay, the creative work designed for imitation. Okay, paronomasia also means pun, and we know that pun is a play on words, so you can call it paronomasia or pun. So the answer to this question is rhetoric. Option A is the correct answer to this question. Question 20. A poem is said to be good if it dash. Option A has elevated style, B has rhyme and reason, option C is difficult to understand, D has a regular reading. The answer to this question is has rhyme and reason. Rhyme is the correspondence of sound. Okay, it must have a particular pattern of sound. Okay, it makes it interesting, it makes it easy for us to memorize. Then reason means it must have a message. You must be able to pass a message across to us. It must carry meaning. It must convey a message. Okay, we should be able to learn from the poem. So option B is the correct answer to this question. We've come to the end of this segment and I believe you enjoyed it. If so, do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button and tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos.